Hey everybody, we are in day 347 in our Bible reading plan, Zephaniah 1 through 3 and Psalm 132. A good psalm too, by the way, but Zephaniah, a great book of the Bible. I'm going to give you a little information about him. We save the big idea for a second. But Zephaniah is a prophet in the days of King Josiah. Remember King Josiah, there was a big revival going on. And so Zephaniah wrote this right before that revival. By the way, Jeremiah's ministry would have been at the end of King Josiah's life. So the revival that may have been triggered by the book of Zephaniah didn't last a lot, but Jeremiah would write about that you had a little fire, but it went away. But just to put you in the timeline, this is about 50 years before the Babylonian captivity. Zephaniah, one of the minor prophets, writing again about judging the people of Israel for their sin, but also a judgment on the enemies of the people of Israel, but then the remnant at the end and the promise of God. An amazing ending to the book. So the big idea is built on that, which is that all you hold dear pales to the love that God has for you and the joy he feels over you. The greatest truth in the world is that God loves you, and so much so that he sent Jesus to die on the cross for you so that he can have a relationship with you. We are separated from God by our sin. We're born into sin. We sin, but we're also born into sin, and the only way to be reconciled to God is through the man Jesus Christ. The entire book of the Bible talks about him. It prophesies his coming in the Old Testament, and it tells a story in the Gospels, and then the life post-resurrection in the Acts of the Apostles and further. So awesome to read the Bible and get this big arch of what's happening. Zephaniah, though, here, one of the minor prophets that are sometimes a little harder to read, but this one, just a treat. The word of the Lord that came to Zephaniah, it starts, and it tells you about him, the son of Cushi, the son of Gedaliah, the son of Amariah, listen, the son of Hezekiah. So he's in the line of Hezekiah, who was one of the good kings in the days of Josiah. This message was for the king of Judah and the people of Judah, and it goes on and calls judgment. I will utterly sweep away everything from the face of the earth. And if you don't think God could do that, he could. And if you don't think it's a mercy that we woke up and are breathing in the air today, then you're missing it. So he goes through and the Lord judges the people for their idolatry, for their corruption. We hear about the idolatry in verse 4, and then in verse 10, and in 11, it talks about how they were corrupt, they were trading for more, they were just cheating each other. And then, of course, the complacency in verse 12, verse 13, and those are things that we wrestle with today. But this judgment wasn't just to the people of Israel. We see in chapter 2 that it extends to the enemies of Israel. Verse 7, I have it underlined. The seacoast will become the possession of the remnant of the house of Judah. And then it says, for the Lord their God will be mindful of them, the people of Judah, and restore their fortunes. And we start leading into this restoration. We move into chapter 3. And as he finishes this talk of judgment, by the way, love Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5. The Lord within her is righteous. He does no injustice. Every morning he shows forth his justice. If you have not seen this truth about God, you've missed it. And then we get to the last bit of Zephaniah chapter 3, which is where many of you land and spend so much time. Verses 12 through the end, just read it and rejoice in it. God will leave in your midst a people humble and lowly. Those are the remnant, the believing, that will continue to be a sign of what God can do in his people. And then you get to chapter 14 and on. And man, I can't even ruin it for you, but let me highlight it. With the Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. And so on that note, let me encourage you to read Zephaniah, but focus on those last 10 verses in the book that are so encouraging and that will remind you that God is the restorer of all that you have lost. Love you guys and praying for you.